Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Keshava Madhava Dinadayal. Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Keshava Madhava Dinadayal. Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Keshava Madhava Dinadayal. Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Keshava Madhava Dinadayal Prabhu, Dinadayal, Dinadayal Prabhu, Dinadayal, Dinadayal Prabhu, Dinadayal, Dinadayal Prabhu, Hey Dinadayal Prabhu, Dinadayal, Dinadayal Prabhu, Dinadayal, Dinadayal Prabhu, Dinadayal, Dinadayal Prabhu, Shama Sundara Kanilal, Givaradari Nanda Dula, Shama Sundara Kanilal, Givaradari, Shama Sundara Kanilal, Givaradari Nanda Dula, Shama Sundara Kanilal, Givaradari, Nanda Dula Prabhu, Nanda Dula, Nanda Dula Prabhu, Nanda Dula, Nanda Dula Prabhu, Nanda Dula, Nanda Dula Prabhu, Nanda Dula Prabhu, Nanda Dula, Nanda Dula Prabhu, Nanda Dula, Nanda Dula Prabhu, Nanda Dula, Nanda Dula Prabhu, Achyuta Keshava, Shridhara Madhava, Govinda Gopala Hari, Achyuta Keshava, Shridhara Madhava, Achyuta Keshava, Shridhara Madhava, Govinda Gopala Hari, Achyuta Keshava, Shridhara Madhava, Govinda Gopala Hari. Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Keshava Madhava Dinadayal. Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Keshava Madhava. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Bolo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Achita Keshava, Shridhara Madhava, Govinda Gopala Hari. Achita Keshava, Shridhara Madhava, Govinda Gopala Hari. Govinda Gopala Hari. Govinda Gopala Hari. Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Keshava Madhava, Dinadaya. Govinda, Jai Gopal. Radhe, 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 Shri Krishna, Radhe, 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 Krishna, Radhe, 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 Shri Krishna, Radhe, 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 Krishna, Radhe, hey, Radhe, 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 Ganesham, Radhe, Radhe, hey, Radhe, Radhe, Ganesham, Radhe, 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 Ganesham, Radhe, 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 Ganesham, hey, Radhe, 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 Jai Shri Radhe Sham. Hari Hari Bol. So we were reading a story from the Jaiva Dharma, and this is a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in which he tells the story of an aspiring, various aspiring devotees. There is a Lahiri Mahashaya. He's trying to understand the proper meditations upon Krishna, and he asks Prem Das Babaji, actually Vaishnava Das Babaji, he says, Krishna took birth and he performed many activities, but then apparently he gave up his body or left this world. So how can we say he is eternal? So Vaishnava Das Babaji says, Krishna's form should be understood as Satchidananda, full of knowledge and consciousness and bliss. And he has no material birth. He appears within this world. He has no material activities, but he performs various activities within this world. And then there is no death. He disappears from this world. So Babaji continues, he says, eternal tattvas are beyond description. When we talk about eternal truths, it is very hard to capsulize it completely within words. We can reference something, we can describe something to a limited degree, but actually to capture the true essence with words, words are limiting. We know that. Therefore, the ultimate is experience. Pure jivas can see Krishna's form and pastimes through their spiritual portions. That is, in their meditations, that those pure devotees see and experience Krishna. If one describes then Krishna through words, one seems to describe him according to material history. Oh, Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. In the context of India at that time, there was a great war, Mahabharata. He goes on to say this. So persons who are able to grasp the essence of the Mahabharata and other scriptures on hearing them can realize him differently from what materialistic persons realize. He is not that just a historical figure who appeared 5,000 years ago and like that. Nor is he just a prophet who spoke some words of wisdom recorded in Bhagavad Gita. He is more than that. He is the Satchidananda Vigraha. He is the transcendental form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And he is the original Adipurusha, Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Lahiri, he asks, when one meditates on the form of Krishna, naturally thoughts are limited to time and place, and they arise within the mind. So how can one meditate on his form and overcome this obstacle? So Babaji says, meditation is an activity of the mind. And as long as the mind is not purely spiritual, the meditation cannot ever be purely spiritual, because the mind is naturally materially tinged, so our references are also materially tinged. The mind imbued with bhakti gradually does become pure, though. The meditation by that mind will necessarily become spiritual. When Vaishnavas chant Krishna's name, the material world does not touch them. They become spiritualized. They live in the spiritual world, meditating on Krishna's pastimes. Thus they enjoy spiritual service. Oh, Lahiri says, please be merciful to me and give me that spiritual realization. What you are talking about is far beyond what I can understand. That those who are actually pure see Krishna within their hearts and experience his leelas. Babaji says, when you give up all material doubts and speculations and constantly reflect on the name, the spiritual realization will arise in no time.
No time.
Everything has to be capsulized within the name. We have to meditate upon the name. And from the name, it's like the seed from which Krishna manifests his divine form, which also, seeing the deity, helps facilitate. And then that will manifest into understanding his nature, his pastimes, and so forth. And that can be understood to some degree also by reading Shastra. So he says that you have to give up all material doubts and speculation, because as much as you argue, you bind your mind with material ropes. In other words, you should go into the chanting free of doubts, free of worries. Sometimes people worry, how long will it take? When will I achieve this? All that. That's not required to doubt and to trouble the mind like that. Just bathe in the name of Krishna.
No, it will come.
Huh?
No, it will come.
Then it will come, right. As much as you develop a taste then for the name, material bondage will slacken and the spiritual world will be revealed in your heart.
Haribo.
Haribo. Lahiri says, I desire that you mercifully explain how this can be done. We've been talking in some of our reading groups that Krishna consciousness is a twofold path. It's the path of mercy, and it is the path of service. So mercy comes through the Vaishnava's blessings, the Guru's blessings like that. But then there is also service, means our application to the path. We have to apply ourselves, no doubt. We have to chant, we have to do things. We can't just think, by the mercy of Guru, everything will come. But what was Babaji's famous? He used to joke.
By your mercy.
Only by your mercy, Gurudev. And he was making a joke that what was it? It was something about
the disciple would put on a nice big feast, and the Guru was saying, "Very nice prasad, very nice feast." He said, "All by your mercy, Gurudev," because he had gone in the pocket of the Guru and taken out the money.
So all by your mercy, we're able to offer. Babaji used to joke like this.
He enjoyed that.
But we read a very nice thing too I wanted to share about meditation. Because this morning we were reading, Krishna's meditation is on Radha. So Radha has a unique position. Of course, we understand that for transcendental Leela, she appears to be married, and so Krishna has to meet with her in clandestine, is that the right word? Ways? Yes. So, but she has special opportunities to come to Krishna's house, but they can't show their romantic feelings towards each other. So on this particular occasion, it was describing that Radha came for cooking because Mother Yashoda employs Radha, or brings her over, not employs her, engages her in service for Krishna, because it is said whoever eats Radha's cooking will have long life. So she knows that this was a blessing given to Radharani by Durvasa Muni, a great saint. So she has worked out some arrangement that Radha can come over in the mornings and cook breakfast for Krishna. But when Krishna sees Radharani, his heart begins to patter, and he just wants to engage with her, but he can't. So on this particular occasion, it describes that he wanted to chant Radha's names. He was feeling inspired to let me just chant Radha, Radha, Radha. And but he could not say it out loud because there would be some suspect. So there was a parrot that Krishna was training how to speak. So it describes that he had the parrot on his arm and he was feeding him pomegranate seeds and teaching him a mantra. And petting him, right. And it was, let me meditate upon Narayan. But the parrot was getting the words all mixed up. So he says, well, start with the first, Dara. That is meditation, dharana, like that. So when he started to say the word Dara, Dara, he this D-H-A-R-A, it got transposed and it became Radha. So this was very satisfying to Krishna's heart. So that was a very sweet Leela with the parrot that we read this morning. So Lahiri Mahashaya wants to know, how can this be done? And Babaji says, mind along with words cannot approach truth. Only by spiritual bliss can one achieve it. Now give up speculations and simply chant the name, and all your doubts will gradually disappear. Then you will not have to ask these type of questions to anyone. The Lahiri Mahashaya says, I have understood that with faith in Krishna, when I drink the ras of his name, I will receive all spiritual benefits and thoroughly understand my relationship with the name. I will take shelter of the name of Krishna. Babaji says, these are excellent words. Now understand these truths thoroughly and realize it. Lahiri says, I have understood the nature of the Supreme, which is called Bhagavad Tattva. Bhagavan is the supreme truth. Brahman and Paramatma are dependent on him. In other words, the Paramatma is the Lord within the heart, is an expansion of that personality of Godhead. Brahman is his all-pervasiveness. He pervades the universe. That is his effulgence. He is everywhere present. So these are aspects of Bhagavan. He is all-pervading but exists within the spiritual world with a remarkable form. He is a person composed of condensed eternity, knowledge, and bliss, and is endowed with all Shaktis, spiritual potencies. Though he is the Lord of all Shaktis, he is intoxicated at all times in association with Shri Radha, his Hladini Shakti, his pleasure-giving potency. Can you say something about the Jivas to me? Jiva Tattva? Babaji spoke. Among Krishna's unlimited Shaktis, that is, divine energies, there is one Shakti called Tatashta, marginal. Between the spiritual and the material worlds, there is one Tattva, who is suitable for both worlds, which emanates from this Shakti. That is called the Jiva. The Jiva means the living being. That is us. Our attraction can be towards Maya, or our attraction can be towards Krishna. that means we're in the middle portion. We can go this way or we can go that way. And in accordance with our association and our practices and so forth, either we're being drawn one way or the other way. Either we're becoming swallowed by the power of the material energy encumbering us, or we're gaining liberation from it and progressing towards Krishna. That is up to us, really. It is where we want to focus our energy in life. Sometimes, of course, we have to find the proper balance. That's required, especially those who have to live within this world. Most of us do. We're not renunciates living in the Dham and just chanting. So we have to deal with things within this world. So all of us have to find our balances within this world. Of course, material energy can lose its attraction. I've given the example like a serpent who has been defanged. She can no longer overcome us. In other words, the serpent of material existence can no longer bite us, and we can become maddened by her. Some people are maddened by the material world, the illusions of the material world, the so-called pleasures available within the material world. We have no such feelings towards material energy. We just live in accordance with our environment, okay? We have to take care of some things, all right? Just like recently, there's a hurricane coming through Florida. We have to deal with, okay, let's bring some furniture in, take care of things, or whatever it may be. We have to deal with life. That's understandable. We have to deal with life. But our focus should never be only that, material existence. Our focus should primarily be our spiritual life. And of course, that is best to have sadhu sangha, association, proper association. That's why we have the Chaitanya Vaishnava Sangha. We're trying to reestablish now by Zoom meetings and inviting others to come and stay near us here in Alachua, where there are many devotees and very nice association. But in any case, our practice will keep us strong. So I gave the example a long time ago on Maui, I remember, as a piece of iron. If you have two magnets on both sides, according to where the piece of iron is situated, the force will become stronger to one side or the other. So I gave that example referring to the material energy. There's a potency there. There's a Shakti there that pulls. That is called the Jada Shakti. Then there's the other end, that is the spiritual Shakti. And that also has a greater pulling power, but we have to be closer in proximity to that. And we will become closer in proximity to that and find ourselves being drawn into the spiritual, into our spiritual perfection. As soon as we turn our attention there and make that our priority and regularly do our sadhanas like that. So Babaji says, among Krishna's unlimited Shaktis, there is the Jiva. Jiva is a spiritual particle. We are spiritual particles, part of Krishna. But we are a particle, and being particle means we are very small. And so we become, or the Jiva becomes entangled within the material world. But since it is pure by composition, that is, we are conscious particles, not dead matter, if it obtains a little spiritual strength, it can live eternally in the spiritual world with complete bliss. Thus, there are two types of jivas. The liberated jiva, living in the spiritual world, and the bound jiva, living in the material world. There are two types of bound jivas. Those with discrimination manifest with those without discrimination. Among humans, there are those who have no spiritual activities, living simply like animals. The animals are bound jivas with no discriminating powers. But those humans who take the support of the Vaishnava path develop a power of discrimination. Except for the Vaishnavas, no one performs spiritual activities. Thus, the scriptures say that service to Vaishnavas and association with Vaishnavas is the best of all activities. We know that in certain environments and in association with certain persons, there is a greater sense of spirituality that is experienced. So it is described within the Shastra that therefore service, and especially to elevated Vaishnavas and association with Vaishnavas who support our spiritual path, would be the best recommended path to follow. For those who have developed such discrimination, following the faith in scriptures, and have developed interest in cultivating the chanting of Krishna's name, association with Vaishnavas is easily established. But persons devoid of discrimination do not chant Krishna's name following the scriptures with faith, but there may be those who just worship the deity according to the conduct of the parampara. Thus, respect for Vaishnavas has not been yet established in their hearts. In other words, there are those who are this is a technical subject, but there are those, like in India, who may worship Krishna in a deity form, but yet has not awakened their spiritual nature yet. Their worship is kind of materialistic. They may worship Krishna for various reasons, to gain material things. One time, Guru Patni told Babaji, when she saw this massive parikrama going around Govardhan Hill, and said, "Oh, Babaji, so many persons are coming for worshipping Govardhan Hill." And he said, most of them are farmers and they're coming here just to pray for good crops. So there's a difference between those who are circumambulating Govardhan to honor Govardhan and to get the blessings of Krishna. And there are those who are circumambulating Govardhan with the idea of getting something material from it. Intention. And we've been discussing that. This is an important aspect of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teachings, is the intention that we carry within our heart when we apply ourselves to the spiritual path. What is the thing we actually desire? And if it is simply we're worshiping Krishna for material things, then it is a materialistic type of worship. But we desire to worship Krishna with the intention of awakening our prem, our pure spiritual nature. Our pure spiritual personality will then shine through, and be experienced. But that takes proper intention. That when I chant Krishna's name, I simply want to please Krishna. I simply want to please Guru. I simply want to render service for the pleasure of Guru, for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas, for the pleasure of Krishna, not with the intention of what material blessing I will get. In India, we call that Hinduism, and that's why Prabhupada never liked the word Hindu. Don't call us Hindus. We're not Hindus, because Hindus worship materially. They worship devas and devis and Krishna and Ram, but all materially motivated, what they will get. But the true Vaishnava, although living within the world, doing the things of this world, lives with the idea of awakening his Krishna prem. So Lahiri says, I have understood now what this Krishna Tattva is, and also what is the Jiva. But what is this Maya Tattva? Babaji says, Maya is devoid of consciousness. It is also one of Krishna's Shaktis, but its name is Apara, meaning a shadow. It's not conscious like ourselves. We are conscious beings. And the supreme eternal reality is the supreme conscious being. But there is material energy. These are all energies of the Lord. Maya is manifest through earth and water and fire and air, mind, intelligence, also the ahankara, the false ego. These all bound the conscious living jiva with subtle bodies, the physical and the mental body. When the Jiva becomes liberated, the Jiva is furnished then with a spiritual body. That body which is most suitable to live within the spiritual realm and to serve the Lord and to exist there alongside of Krishna's eternal companions, the gopis and like that. We'll all have a place there. So as long as the Jiva, though, remains bound by Maya, it is turned away from Krishna. To the extent that the Jiva is liberated then from Maya, it turns towards Krishna. This universe is made up of Maya, earth and water and so forth. It provides the bound Jivas various enjoyments through the senses, which are all temporal. The Jiva does not have a permanent place, though, in the material world. That is, this is a temporary home, and the pleasures of this material world are also very temporary. It says, I have a low battery. I don't know why it was plugged in. So my computer may go out. Let's see. Hope not. Lahiri says, Prabhu, now speak of the eternal relationship with Maya, Jiva, and Krishna. So the subject matter of this section of the Jaiva Dharma is the tattvas, which are threefold. There is the nature of God, the nature of the living being, and the nature of the world. These are the three things that actually exist. There is material world with all its divisions of earth and water, fire, air, and its combinations, and so forth, which also makes up this body. And also the subtle aspects, the mind and the intelligence, are also materially composed. But the entity, who is the conscious being, the I am, that is the soul. That is distinct from the body, both gross and subtle. And that I am, or the Jiva, is I am the servant, eternal servant of Krishna. Jiva Swarupaya Krishnara Nityadas. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement. Who is the Jiva? Jiva Swarupaya Krishnara Nityadas. He is the Krishna Das. He is the servant of Krishna. So we have to understand this world. We have to understand how it affects us and how we become bound by it. We have to understand the nature of spiritual existence, for we have to aspire for that. We have to know it means to want it. And then we, as the Jiva, the neutral, that can go either way, can make our choice. Lahiri says, since one attains knowledge by deliberating on true knowledge, or vidya, is it necessary to cultivate learning before becoming a Vaishnava? Babaji says, in order to become a Vaishnava, it is not necessary to study deeply the Shastras. In order to remove the Jiva's illusions, though, it is necessary to take shelter of a real Vaishnava, a guru, a spiritual master. By his statement and one's practice, spiritual life will arise. This is called Diksha and Siksha. Lahiri says, after Diksha and Siksha, what should be done? After one receives some instructions and takes initiation, what should we do? Babaji says, one should cultivate Krishna through what is called the practice, or the sadhana. Because this tattva is described strongly in the Vedic scriptures, Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya, has called it Abhideya Tattva. With tears in his eyes, Lahiri said, "Oh, Gurudev, I have taken shelter at your feet. Hearing your sweet words, I have developed this true understanding of things. Along with this, by your mercy, all my previous impressions, that is, all my previous ideas have disappeared. Now teach me the true nature of practice." So I think we can stop here and pick it up next time, where now that he has understood the nature of the truth of Krishna, the truth of the living being, and the truth of this world, and understands what direction he should take. He wants to know, how should I take it? How? And Babaji says, in order to become a Vaishnava, you should cultivate Krishna. And this is called Abhideya. So this is where we'll stop and pick up next time. Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Okay. Hari Bol. Shakti has something.
Can you hear me? Because my audio is off.
Oh,
Yeah,
can you hear her?
Sulochan says she can hear.
Okay.
Because we're all going through the same kind of 2022 life experience, that things are overwhelming at times, and there's problems in family and relationships, and the main thing is, my best advice to all of you is, don't become overwhelmed by it. You have to keep Krishna in your heart and in your mind, and know that ultimately he's in control. If we have a plan and it's not working out, maybe it's not supposed to work out that way we thought. Maybe Krishna has something better. So, I mean, just the main thing is, don't become overwhelmed by it, and keep Krishna in your mind and heart always.
And pray for the mercy of Guru and Krishna.
Yes.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama